Good morning, fragrance lovers out there. Welcome to my channel, The Honest Perfume Reviewer. I'll just introduce myself real quickly for those of you who have not been here yet. I'm 53 years old. I live in Sweden. I have an American mother, so this is kind of my mother tongue. I speak English to my kids and my parents and my siblings. I just kind of developed this huge passion for fragrance a few years ago, actually after my husband passed away. In 2016, but this was not until like 2019 I got really into it. I've loved fragrance my whole life, but I only used to be like, I'd have like 5 designer fragrances and I would go through them and I wouldn't buy new bottles until I ran out, basically. Now I have a collection of like 50 full-size bottles, maybe 20 travel size, and like 50 decants and samples, something like that. So I try to keep my collection small, and part of my purpose with this channel is not just to review fragrances, but also to like try to share my thoughts on fragrance addiction, shopping addiction, how to control desires of purchasing more bottles, and just, building up a collection that just kind of spirals out of control. I feel like I have a good size collection now. I do feel urges to spend money, and I sometimes buy bottles that I regret, and I like to share my thoughts on like what helps for me, like helps me buy less, and also, make use of what I have already, to enjoy what I have rather than always running out for more. And one thing is, of course, to meet up with other fragrance lovers. That is makes it so much more fun, and you can swap decants, and you don't have to spend more money. That's a great way to kind of like extend your collection of new fragrances to be able to enjoy without, spending more. Another thing that I tell myself, I talked about this in another video that I think really helps. I just painted my nails, by the way, so that's why I'm kind of like using my hands in a strange way. I don't want to wreck this already. I'm just kind of hanging out here with my cat. He's right there. He's so sweet. Anyway, I hope he doesn't meow. This cow meows a lot. That's kind of his he has a great personality, but that is one thing that doesn't, I don't know why he meows so much, but anyway, his mother was the same. I noticed that when we picked him up, that she was really loud and kind of, and even the owner even said so. But now I'm getting off topic here. Oh, yes, I said that one thing that works for me to kind of handle desire for new fragrances is to always tell myself that I can have it, but not today. And then tomorrow I'll tell myself the same thing. You can have it, but not today. And I really try never to pay full retail price. I might start keeping my eyes open on the secondhand market, or for a swap, or maybe get a sample first. But usually what ends up happening is that the urge goes away, because then I've got my mind on something new to kind of like desire. And then I tell myself that with this new fragrance, I can have it, but not today. And some of the fragrances that I right now really, really want are Blanche Bête from Liquid Imaginaires, and also Cacao Porcelana from Atelier Materi. And the desire has kind of like remained for quite a while. I have a decant of Cacao Porcelana, and I'm almost running out. So now like I would be allowed to buy it, but I don't want to pay full retail, and I'm just kind of like waiting, hoping that the urge will just kind of like pass. Anyway, what I sometimes do also to kind of like not spend, I kind of dig into my collection and try to like learn from it. And I think it's really fun to explore a certain note. And this video is going to be all about Ambergris, or Ambergris, some people say. I'm not quite sure if they're two different pronunciations or if it's just different in different languages. But ambergris means gray amber, and it comes from the sperm whale. And it is discussed if it comes in which end it actually comes out of the whale. Is it vomit, or is it more like a feces kind of excrement? I think that it is not really known, but both the male and the female whale can actually create ambergris. And these chunks are like pieces of undigestible parts of the food that have kind of like gotten chunked together, and sometimes they even get stuck in the whale and kill the whale. At least this is what I heard in a video that I recently watched. I don't know if that's so common, but usually they release these chunks, they float around in the ocean, the sun kind of dries it out on the inside. Sometimes there's like an oxidation process where it's like white on the outside, and it can be it can have a few like different colors, I think, but usually they're different shades of gray, like white to dark, kind of like blackish, but mostly different gray hues to it. And they're worth a lot of money. And I don't know, I brought out, so what I do is I go to my collection and then I bring out everything that I have in my collection, even decants and samples that has the note of ambergris in this case. And then I kind of like sniff them all and like have a special focus on this particular note and kind of like learn it. And my opinion, like my take on ambergris, what I experience when I smell ambergris is kind of like a salty, earthy, animalic kind of experience. And I think it's like the ambergris is often used as a fixative, like to give the perfume a better base and to make it last longer, and you don't really smell like, oh, this is salty or this is like ambergris kind of smelling. But I do have a few fragrances that kind of focus on that note, which are a little bit different. So they're used in several ways, but they add, to me, I think they add depth to a fragrance. I mean, this note adds depth. It adds a little kind of the same feeling as umami does to food, like that round taste that kind of brings everything together. Or like fake umami they use, like, you know, like in potato chips when they're covered with like a powder that's kind of like salty and kind of MSG, that's really bad for you and that makes you feel really, really lousy afterwards. That's kind of that same kind of thing you're getting, kind of what makes you want to take another potato chip, rather than if they had been plain, then they're not quite as addictive. So there's something really satisfying about, I don't know if you quite understood my my analogy there with, or using, you know, food and taste as a kind of a way to understand ambergris, but to me that kind of made sense. And they actually do use ambergris even in cooking and food and also medicine and drinks, and you sprinkle it over eggs, I guess, and you can put it into like chocolate and beverages and all kinds of different things. So it does have a little bit of a taste. It smells a little bit fecal when you smell a piece. I've never smelled a piece, but like I've heard other people describe it, but you use so little. So it's really hard to like smell this alone. But and I did bring out actually one fragrance that doesn't have ambergris, but I think it kind of gives me that vibe. I guess I'll start with that one. This is Musc Palawan from Lorga Parfums. I have a video on this and I compare it to this fragrance called Ambergris from Balmain. This is a discontinued French fragrance, kind of from the designer world, that is, I do see it kind of like circulating still, like on secondhand sites, and not that expensive. It's a beautiful fragrance, but these have something in common, but this is a little bit more like tropical, has some tropical fruits, like yellow florals, and it's kind of like marine. And this has, what these have in common is that they're both kind of ambergris kind of feeling fragrances, but this one is more combined with like, I mean, this does have vanilla too, I think. Yeah, it has vanilla and ylang ylang, and this has tuberose, which I can't really pick out, but it has like benzoin and like vanillic undertones. But it also smells a little bit like skin, like a second skin. What I'm a little disappointed in this one, if you can see, it's kind of gone, like if you see the top here, it's kind of gone a little bit green there. And I think that there's some kind of, I don't know if it's an oxidation process or whatever's going on, but when I spray from this bottle, the first blast has gone a little bit sour. Like it didn't smell like this when I first got it, but I now have sprayed it into like a bigger decant. So, and I find that it smells different from here than from this bottle, but I love this fragrance. Some people describe this as kind of a Christmassy kind of fragrance because it has like cinnamon and it's a little bit, it has those cozy kind of undertones, but it's like everybody likes this fragrance. It's such an easy wear. I really, really enjoy having this in my collection, but my friend bought a bottle and she says that the ambergris kind of gets to her. She thinks it's a little bit too marine and salty. I think it's perfect. I think it's just a perfect, whereas this one would not be for everyone because this is too overly tropical for some people. I bought this from that particular friend, and she had a hard time with this one. This reminds me a little bit of Embruns de Lang from Guerlain. But that one is a little bit more simple and easy to like. This is a little bit more, gives a little bit of a coconut feeling without going like all the way to becoming like a beach fragrance. Oh, it's so, I love this fragrance. I got so hooked on this, like, I don't know if it was last year or the summer before that. It is incredible, but it's really pricey, so it's not a safe blind buy. Then I have the one fragrance, the only fragrance I think that has real ambergris in it, and it is, I think I've also talked about this on my channel, it's called Escale Indonesi. It's from the house of Les Indemodables. They also have a great fragrance called Musc Ambre, I think, that has ambergris in it too. And I think it's also there, the real thing. But this kind of really made me understand real ambergris, what real ambergris smells like, because it's really, really different. This one really kind of has that, it smells a little bit like unwashed hair, a little bit like my cat. It smells a little bit like, it's not quite as salty. It's a little bit more round and smooth, I think, than the synthetic like versions. And I don't know, please inform me if you know the answer to this, but like, what are the laws? What is the legal, I mean, are you allowed to say that something has ambergris if it really is ambroxan or cachalox or some synthetic version? Or do you have to put ambroxan? Because I find that like squid, for example, from Zoologist, I think they list ambergris, but it is not ambergris. I think that was I mean, this is just a beauty. This is like citruses, neroli. There's something else in here too. I can't quite remember all the notes, but it's citruses basically, kind of, and there might be a floral note in here, maybe jasmine or something, but it's all about ambergris. And I couldn't even smell this from the beginning because it was like so hard for my nose to find it. Maybe it was too close to my own skin or something. But then when my nose learned to find it, it is just a beauty. And I paid like literally nothing for this. It was a tester bottle. And I liked the brand because I liked other fragrances from this brand. So I just kind of like bought, I didn't blind buy it, but I bought it like spontaneously. And I'm so happy that I did. It's such a beautiful scent. And here's another one that kind of focuses on ambergris, which is a little bit more, I think, synthetic. And it is Musc Ambre Gris, and it's from like a base note collection from this brand called Affinessence. I don't know if they have other collections as well, but this I tried this whole collection when I went to where was I last summer? In Croatia. Was it in Split? I think, God, I've forgotten it all of a sudden. I think we went to Split. Yeah, they had a great little perfume shop there. They have a nice sandalwood and basmati fragrance that my friend has it, and she really loves it. But to me, that one's too much rice for me to want to spray it on myself. But this one, this was a swap for me. This really does kind of smell like unwashed skin or unwashed hair, a little bit. But at the same time, it's kind of really satisfying. How strange that might seem, but this I think is a fragrance more maybe to layer with other things, like with florals, with some just other stuff. It really adds something, but I don't know if I like it so much on its own. It's not bad. It's just kind of skin-like, a little body odor kind of type of fragrance. It also has a note of truffle, I think, and I think there's mate in here maybe. Let me see. I wrote down some notes. Yeah, truffle, black musk, patchouli, and vetiver also. And mate, which is like a tea-like drink, pretty bitter. That's popular in South America. I mean, I like it. I probably wouldn't have bought it for full retail, but I swapped it against something. I think she got Remarkable People for me, the swapper, and I got this one from her. Okay, so this morning, oh my God, I got told off today at my dance aerobics. Not personally, like you're wearing too much perfume, but like someone walked up to the instructor and said, you know, can we please keep this class perfume free because I can't breathe, or I'm having problems with allergies. And I really felt like, oh God. I actually went up to her, this woman, afterwards and said that was me, and I feel really bad, and it's really selfish of me to spray on perfume, but I'm kind of a perfume freak, and I thought I was really being discreet. So what I was doing this morning, because we're pretty close together in the room, it makes total sense. I shouldn't have to perfume. I mean, how odd that must seem to other people. Like, why would you go to the gym, to a dance class, like right out of bed or basically after breakfast? I hadn't even showered or anything, and wear perfume. I can understand that might seem a little strange, but I did a comparison of two perfumes that I previously haven't even noticed are similar, but they both have ambergris. That's why I kind of pulled them out. And these are things that typically happen when I start looking, I start digging in my collection for like a certain kind of note. There's this one, the one I talked about previously, Ambergris from Balmain, and this one called Precious Oud from Van Cleef and Arpels. And this one I've been considering decluttering, but now I think I've kind of changed my mind. They're both kind of described as balsamic, animalic. They both have ambergris. This one is called Precious Oud, but for me, the oud is completely impossible to detect in here. So this is a little bit more, they remind me of each other, both in the opening, in the mid, and the dry down. So, and there are lots of overlapping notes. I noticed when I put them up side by side, they both have pink pepper in the opening. And then let's see, this one has myrrh, tuberose, incense, and frangipani in the mid. And this one also has tuberose. Tuberose is considered like the most prominent note. Actually, this one reminds a lot of people of, and even myself, because I did try this, of Black Orchid's long dry down. Because I really hate Black Orchid, but in the long dry down, I must admit that they are quite similar. Let's see here. Did I not? Oh yeah, and this has tuberose, incense, and jasmine in the mid, and so this one had frangipani. So they both have incense and tuberose in the middle, and this one has oud, which I can't even detect. And then in the base, they have ambergris. That's the common note there. So I would say that this leans a little bit more like cozy, spicy, vanillic. And this doesn't have that vanilla base, but this has, and let's see, no, it doesn't. Patchouli, I can't really tell, not the vetiver either. It just kind of has a nice floral, balsamic kind of quality with hints of animalic notes, perhaps. I might not have been able to say, but I think ambergris makes these fragrances like really nice. Like they really add something. And I'm going to be holding on to this Precious Oud. At least for some time. I don't wear it much, but I really enjoyed it today. But this person in my dance class did not. So please, be a little bit more considerate to people that might have a hard time breathing because of you. What else have I got? Oh, and then I have Ani. I've got 2 decants of Ani. I'm going to pass this one on to a friend. It doesn't have much left in it, but this is what I wore after the retreat, and I was so choked out, but it is a beautiful fragrance if you're in the mood. I mean, this is like a spicy ginger vanilla, but it also has ambergris, which brings it to a completely different level, I think. I don't know if I would have guessed ambergris. I would have just said, boy, this is good. That's what I would have said. It's just a really, really good fragrance. But I don't wear it that much. I think it's quite heavy. It's pretty heavy. Then I have, let's see if I have it here, a kind of a new fragrance that I've been testing lately. My friend had ordered a whole bunch of samples under the theme Noir, and this fragrance kind of came in that package. It's called Ballerina No. 3, and it's from the house of Les Parfums de Rosine. So I guess they're all about rose, I'm guessing. I don't know. I don't know much about this house, but this is like a super, super beautiful, deep rose fragrance. And I don't typically like rose fragrances that much. I don't have many full bottles of rose fragrances, if any. Let's see, I have a travel size of Rosé Monday from Parfum Aroma, which is a rose-based fragrance for sure. But this is just, and I was trying to, ask myself why I like this one so much, this Ballerina No. 3. And I think it probably because of the ambergris. It just kind of brings it up to another level. And it has a very it's kind of a masculine kind of rose. It's like a dark, deep, kind of fresh rose, like the opposite of like dry, you know, old ladyish rose petals in a dish in someone's bathroom. This is just like so, so beautiful. So I don't think I'll go full bottle of this, like, because I'm not so into rose, but I like this particular one. It does remind me a little bit of like Radical Rose from, what is it? Mathieu Premier? What are they called? Mathieu Premier, I think. Yeah, the same house that does Santal Austral and all those. It's just a deep, beautiful, incredible rose fragrance for those of you who are into rose. And I think this one has rose as well. This is another Ambergris fragrance that is kind of based on leather and oud, and it is Cuir Noir from Armani Privé. Beautiful, beautiful fragrance. I just have to spray it for, I bought this with like this much in it. The only problem with this fragrance is the performance is really, really bad. That's like my only problem with it. But this has leather, vanilla. It's a really like comforting, warm kind of fragrance. Let's see what else. This has guaiac wood, benzoin, sandalwood, nutmeg, ambergris, and coriander. So it's like spicy vanilla, not heavy on the oud at all, and not on the leather either. It's like such an easy, soft leather. If you're looking for a leather scent that's like, and you're sensitive to fragrance, like you think that many fragrances overwhelm you, then I would definitely check this out. Otherwise, I think that this Armani Privé, I think this one, something is stuck here. And this is what it should look like. For this price point, you know, I don't know if I think it's worth the money. I think this one is way too weak, and I think the same of like Musc Chamal. I think I've reviewed that earlier on this channel too. But this is so beautiful. Like if I were to like get into like a crowded car with other people, this would be a perfect fragrance to wear. Or like a night on the couch when you don't want to put on something overwhelming because you're going to bed in 2 hours. It's just incredible. And maybe part of the incredibleness is that it has ambergris. I couldn't have said, but just beautiful, beautiful fragrance. And then I also have something that I haven't worn in a long time. This has been in my collection for like a few years, and it is True Lust from Etat Libre D'Orange. I think this bottle is really cute, but this is it's described as a leather fragrance, but it's really not very, the leather is not very heavy at all. And it also has like a booziness. It has rum. There's a hint of coconut. There are some florals in here. And it has ambergris, and it has a special note of rice, which is detectable, but it's not like the new Au Papier from, or L'Eau Papier, I think it's called, from Diptyque, that like, it smells like steamed rice. And also the one I mentioned earlier from Affinessence, you know, that collection that's called Santal Basmati. It's like smells so much like rice that I wouldn't want to wear it. Here it just kind of like, it just adds a little, no, I'm going to put it on the other hand. Yeah, I don't have anything here. This is like, it's floral. It's a little bit powdery. Maybe it's like, I think it's like rice powder. And it has that little, I mean, it is beautiful, this one. It's kind of like sheer. It's a little bit transparent. It's not heavy at all. I find it to be unisex. It leans a little bit feminine. Oh, I can see my little cat's face back there. He's so cute. God, I love that cat so much. And he smells so good. If I could just bottle him up and you know, base my fragrances with cat smell. He's always smells so good. This is really, really nice. I'm glad I kind of like dug into ambergris, because then I kind of like found older fragrances that I can kind of like experience them again with my new nose, because I have, every year I get to have a new nose and have new tastes and have like discovered new things, and just it's kind of nice revisiting things. And then sometimes I just realize I have to get rid of stuff because they're just not doing it for me anymore. But I want to mention a few more fragrances. I don't like talking about dupes, but I do have this one. It's a dupe of Creed Aventus. I love Creed Aventus Original, but I'm too cheap to buy a bottle. If you're a man and you're watching and you want to buy one fragrance, niche fragrance, I do recommend Creed Aventus. I think it's so beautiful on a man. And Creed, I think, uses real ambergris. Because they're really, I mean, they're very pricey, and they're famous for using, like the best materials. And I don't know if you heard about the book that came out called The Ghost Perfumer. It came out like last year, I think, or maybe even the year before. That was all about Creed and how they used this perfumer, Pierre Bourdon, and kind of stole his expertise and made it their own. But then they did go home and put their own name on it. But they did use top quality ingredients, according to the author. So I don't know about Creed and the value for money. I've never really been into Creed. But now that I'm looking at Ambergris, I know that they're famous for good Ambergris. And another fragrance that has real Ambergris is supposed to be this Millésime Imperial or something like that. I don't know if the recent formula has the real Ambergris or not, but older bottles for sure. I mean, this is like a pineapple-y kind of fragrance. I mean, you know, Creed Aventus. This is pretty similar. And then I also want to mention two more fragrances that very clearly have a nice tone of ambergris, but I might not have been able to say, especially not in the first case, which is Ambre Magique from Maison Sur. It is Alberto Morilla's own perfume house. They have very easy wear perfumes that sometimes are described as being right on the border between designer and niche. And I think Ambre Magique, it was like a love at first sniff. I just loved it right away. But it did feel like a super, super good designer. But I think what really made it like tip over to something that I would want might be the Ambergris, because it had this beautiful twist. It's kind of it smells a little bit like any floral designer fragrance with kind of a little bit of a vanillic base, if I remember correctly. But then it has this little, it's not an amber fragrance. Ambre Magique, I mean, it might have some ambery notes in the base, but it's not like your typical resinous amber at all. But I love it, and I recently saw it on our version of eBay called Tradera. And the seller was asking, I'm still kind of looking at this. Actually, I think the auction kind of ends today, but it was still over $200 for a used bottle, but it had only been sprayed like twice. So I'm hesitant, but I know that like a new bottle of this fragrance costs like $370 or more, like maybe $380, $390. It's so not worth it to me. It's just too much, but I don't know. I'm kind of still looking. Maybe I will actually splurge and buy it. I don't know. The other one I'd like to mention, I'm not a Roja fan, but I really, really like Oceania. It's an ocean Ia. And it's a beautiful floral. It probably has citruses in the top. I don't know all the notes there, but it had such a beautiful summer fragrance. And there you can definitely tell that some of the depth and beauty comes from ambergris. It's about $400 a bottle, I think, for 100. But I think maybe only it comes in 100. So I'm not getting a bottle of that. It's just too expensive. But I would like a bottle I would love a bottle in my collection if I saw it used maybe, or swap or something. But they never go on sale. So anyway, what are your thoughts on ambergris? Do you have any fragrances to recommend that has this note? What do you think of it? Do you know the rules about marking, stating that your fragrance has ambroxan or ambergris, if you're allowed to say ambergris and it's not really ambergris? Please let me know. That was all for today.